Just to show you that including the proposed margin increase, that KUB's electric rates will continue to remain competitive. This chart shows a comparison of KUB both on the current rates and proposed with the other largest TVA distributors and several other regional electric providers that the Knox Chamber has identified as competitors for new jobs with the city of Knoxville. So basically right now we're third lowest. With our proposed increase, we would move past Memphis and then be fourth lowest as well. So this is really a regional snapshot. One thing that I just saw a few weeks ago, Jacksonville Electric Authority out of Florida, they do a national rate survey every quarter. They update it every quarter. And if you compared our monthly electric bill as of April with their comparison group, we would have been the fifth lowest of 56 utilities that they survey nationwide. So that's pretty good. I think it gives also an indication on a national basis we're very competitive as well. And that's the presentation on the electric margin increase. You want me to go on, or are they going to consider that?
Other questions on resolution 1224? So we need a motion.
I'll move it.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Are there anybody out there like to comment, or any other comments or questions from the board?
Do we not have any comments from our operations folks?
They're happy.
Awful quiet. Okay, I guess we will have a roll call vote. Mr. Colby.
Commissioner Anderson.
Aye.
Commissioner Cannell.
Aye.
Commissioner Jones.
Aye.
Commissioner Robinson.
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons.
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
All right, resolution 1224 passes on first reading.
Okay. The next four resolutions all sort of deal with the budget. We'll have to vote on them separately, but I believe our presentation is going to be kind of inclusive. So this is resolution 1225, 1226, 1227, and 1228. So I guess, Mark, you're on again.
Okay. Commissioners, I will try and briefly review for you the proposed budget for fiscal year 2011. We'll also talk about the proposed debt issues that will help fund the capital budgets of the four utility systems. And then lastly, I'll spend a few minutes talking about commitment appropriations also for fiscal year 2011. Commissioners, the total proposed budget for 2011 is $862.2 million. That is $16 million higher than the approved budget for the current year. I'll point that out. Quickly by division, electric $567 million, gas $127, water $49.5, wastewater $118.2. By major cost component, as is typically the case, wholesale energy cost $500 is the largest component of the budget at 60%, $520 million for 2011. That includes $443 million for electric power purchases from TVA. It includes $77 million to purchase 10.5 million megatherms of natural gas for our customers. And that in that $77 million number is also charges that we pay the pipelines to reserve capacity and also storage as well. O&M, $111.3 million, and we'll talk about O&M in a little more detail in just a moment. As is typically the case, though, the majority of those expenditures are labor related. For capital, $153 million budget. I guess it's been the case for the last 5 or 6 years, ever since we have phase 10, wastewater has been the highest component of our total capital budget, and that will be the case again next year. For debt service, $53.4 million. Probably not surprising, wastewater is almost half of the debt service budget now. And if you include the proposed issue in the upcoming fiscal year, we will have issued $370 million in revenue bonds since the inception of the Phase 10 program. So work continues and debt continues on wastewater. For taxes and equivalents, $24.6 million. That includes $20.3 million in pilots or in lieu of tax payments and $4.3 million in FICA and Medicare tax wages remitted to the federal government. Of the $20.3 million tax equivalents, $12.7 million will be paid to the city, $7 million to Knox County, and the remainder will go to the other counties in which we have our utility systems operating. Commissioners, the proposed budget is $107 million higher than our forecast for current year cash expenditures. A couple of reasons for that. The biggest by far is higher wholesale electric power rates that have been rising over the last several months. We anticipate they'll continue to rise throughout probably the summer. So $66.4 million increase in wholesale energy costs. For capital, almost $25 million. There's two reasons for that. One, on the wastewater side, it's timing of phase 10 capital projects. In the current year, phase 10 capital is $12 million under budget. The majority of that will be spent next fiscal year. And then also we have the construction of the two electric substations we've already talked about. That's $14 million. And those two reasons together account for the $25 million increase compared to the current year forecast. For debt, up $11 million. Most of that is related to the proposed bond issues we'll talk about in just a moment. We're proposing $137 million in new debt to be issued during fiscal year 2011. Most of that is associated with that. And then we also have the full year of debt service on two bond issues we've had this year, water back in the fall and wastewater just this past February. O&M up $3.5 million. A couple of factors driving that. One is increased contributions to our pension trust fund. We had our actuarial evaluation report on the pension completed last summer, and it included investment performance for calendar year 2008, which, as you know, there was many declining investment returns in that year. So as a result, to make up for those losses, we are now required to make a contribution of $5.5 million in fiscal year 2011. We only had to make a $200,000 contribution during the current year. So that's the big driver there. Utility expenses are also up $600,000, and that's, again, due to the same reason that that's a higher wholesale power rates. And finally, tax equivalents up $1.2 million. That's simply the result of infrastructure investments made during the current year, and also the fact that the winter was colder, gas sales margins were higher, so that's going to result, we pay a portion of those margins to the city and county in lieu of tax payments. Any questions on that, commissioners? Talk a little bit more detail about the proposed capital budget. Again, $153 million, as is historically the case. About 90% of that is directly related to our utility systems infrastructure, either through system improvements, system replacements, or expansions. Of that $66 million in system improvements, $14 million for the substation projects, $6.4 million, which will provide for about 7 miles of water main replacement in the upcoming fiscal year, $4.5 million for gas main replacement, which will keep us on schedule to have the cast and ductile iron gas main out of our system by 2015. There's also a budget for electric pole replacement. I think we'll replace 1,200 poles next year. That's about $1.7 million as well. I've separated it out, but you can see the phase 10 projects total $54 million in 2011. Majority, or a portion of that, is for the completion of 2 storage tanks. That's $15 million. Most notably, there'll be a new tank over at the KUB treatment plant. $10 million for various plant improvements to the water and wastewater treatment plants. $6 million for the relocation of utilities to accommodate state and federal highway projects. $1 million of that will be reimbursable. And then the remainder is for IT projects and general facilities and equipment, vehicle purchases. Of that $10 million IT, we actually have $3.3 million there for the Smart Grid Community Project. That represents next year's expenditures for that. And as you'll recall, half of that will be reimbursed through our grant with the Department of Energy. And that's a summary of capital. Real quickly, a summary of O&M, $111 million. As we talked about at the outset, over 50% is labor-related expenditures. So of that $60 million on the red slice of the chart there, $42 million represents the O&M side of payroll. I think $7.3 million is active medical claims, $4.5 million for the pension trust contribution. That's the O&M share of it. A portion of that will be capitalized. And then about another $5 to $6 million for retiree medical claims and contributions to the OTEC trust fund. The blue side